Hello YouTube. Alright, I'm doing a 2.7 liter twin turbo turbo replacement. And there are some good videos on YouTube about replacing the actual turbo. It's tight fitting, it's a pain in the ass, and I already have my turbo out. So that's not really helping you. My turbo would mount up right here. What I'm having problems with is getting the new one in. And it's because I didn't buy the original KO3 turbos. I decided to upgrade to the KO4s, and I got a pretty decent deal on eBay from Max Speeding Rods. And did a lot of research, and I believe this is the best choice for what I bought. I got a pair of them for 350 bucks. And you might be chuckling and saying that's a piece of garbage, but I guess we'll find out. They seem to be fairly well built for what I've seen so far. So here's the turbo. And the problem is on the KO4 is the intake housing is bigger. I'm not sure exactly what's going on inside the exhaust housing, but my exhaust housing on the original and this one have the exact same number on them. So I think the exhaust housing is the exact same part. However, the intake housing is a little bigger. It's a lot bigger. So I try and get this on, try and mount it up. 3 of those bolt holes mount up to the, I'm trying to do this one-handed here, hold on. Mount up to the manifold. And so we've got, that's blocking me. Okay, we get these 3 mounted up here. And the housing hits the manifold. You see the green paint? That green paint is what it's hitting the manifold. So what I've been doing over and over, not connecting any plumbing or anything, I've been taking that green, putting green paint on it, and smearing it up against the manifold. So I take the turbo out, I get my soapstone, and I go look for the green paint on the manifold. And first I started over here. I put a mark, put a cross, and mark it. And I heat it up with a regular old propane torch. Now I'm going to try and, this should be my last one. I had to do this 3 times to get the right bow in it, to get it to fit. So basically, I don't know if you can see the dent in it. Yeah, you can see the dent in here that I have had to make to accommodate the housing. Now, I did also have to reclock the housing just a tiny bit because of the way the plumbing hooks up. And they had this fitting rotated inward to where it would barely get in underneath this housing. So I took this center, I think it's called the cartridge, and I rotated it from in here back to out here. And I also had to reclock this housing and this housing. Well, I had to loosen them up so I could rotate the center. But this one's off by just a tiny bit from where it used to be. Now there is a cutout here, which could or could not be for that manifold. But I do believe that that's not enough of a cutout. Because for the dent that I have in there, that's way deeper than this little cutout. I don't think it would have fit anyway. And a lot of these upgrades for the S4s and the RS6s are for automatic transmissions. I mean for manual transmissions, and I have an automatic. So they do fit just a tiny bit differently, and people warn you when you're buying downpipes, aftermarket downpipes, that you need slight modifications or just plain old won't fit a automatic transmission, which it will, but you have to modify it. They just want to cover their ass so that they don't sell you something and you bitch that it don't fit. So at this stage of the game, I've been heating with just a normal little regular propane torch and beating my manifold with my favorite little ball peen hammer. It's doing quite the job of putting a little dent in there to clear that housing. And that's how that's how I'm getting it on. I don't care how you get it on. But if I had an acetylene torch, I'd probably heat up this entire elbow and give it a tiny little twist so that the housing cleared here, and then I would just deal with the aftermath of bolting on the downpipe and seeing how that fit up. But even without twisting it, if you didn't twist it in or out, even if I just heated this up and twisted it this way, it would pull that housing away from here. And all you need is like 2 millimeters, maybe 3. It's really not a lot, but I kept hitting it in the wrong places. I kept going the wrong direction with my dents. And as it would get closer and closer to being in the spot, it started down here at the tip of my fingernail, and the second one I did was up here, and the third one I'm doing is coming back in here. So I'm moving towards the back of the engine, and at first I was starting to move up, but I'm coming to the back of the engine now, and that last one should be the last hit that I have to do to get this thing to clear. So if you're upgrading turbos from KO3s to KO4s, it is a pain in the ass, and I still haven't started on that one. And be aware that you may have to reclock your housings on your turbos. You might have to turn one or both housings to get it to line up. So, like I said, max speeding rods, we'll see how it goes. Everybody warns me of eBay turbos, but I feel I've made an educated choice here. $350. I put in a bid or a best offer, and he accepted. So here's to hoping. Thank you. Have a good evening.